We are live. Yes, yes, yes. What's going on, gentlemen? Today would be June 21st, Saturday, June 21st. The time is 2:20 p.m. The year is 2025, and had a new member join the school community. He made a rock solid intro post, kind of gave his experience up until this point, and so I wanted to dedicate this live stream to him. So this will be a live stream mainly for guys that are just starting out with this. Also, it is hot as hell out here. Currently, I'm in Richmond, California, getting ready to start an Amazon shift, so it's hot as shit. But the live must go on. I wanted to do it in the nice sunlight, so sitting in a parking lot right now. So, anyways, so yeah, just to go over kind of what he said. Firstly, if you're new and you don't know who the fuck I am, just this random guy on a live stream. My name is Ephraim, 25 years old, born and raised in the Bay Area, California. Oh, what's going on, Mo? Good to see you, man. Most recently, lived in San Francisco for the past 5 years, and then very recently made some changes because I will be living abroad and focusing my efforts on this channel. So professional background doesn't matter too much, but I was heavy background in sales and then programming as well, entry level background in programming. And I most recently quit my tech sales job because I wanted to work abroad, and I didn't get that permission, and so I figured, why am I working for somebody else right now? Do me a favor, yes, like the stream, boys. I appreciate Mo. I'm sure you're the one who already liked it, so thank you for that. But yeah, please like the stream to increase outreach. That's my only ask right now. So anyways, yeah, this live stream will be for that gentleman that just joined the community, and I'm sure he's wondering kind of what to expect, what this is all about. And so I wanted to give him some context and give him some encouragement and some knowledge. So just to briefly go over what his post was about, he was saying that he is 22, about to turn 23. He said that he's been in the gym for a year plus now, and he said he has a solid sense of humor, but he is still not finding any success with girls and with dating, and his dating life is just pretty dry at the moment. And so I imagine that's a big reason why he decided to apply to join our school community. And one thing he said in particular is that up until this point this year, he was just giving us his stats for this year, but he said he's been on one date this year, he's gotten ghosted twice, and he's done a total of 4 approaches. And just to remind you, we're June 21st, 2025, so we're over halfway through the year now, and he's done a total of 4 approaches year to date. And so, yeah, let's talk about it. So first thing I wrote down is mindset when starting out. All right, so you're probably coming into this space not necessarily knowing what's going on, not knowing who to listen to, who to believe, who to trust. And I was in a very similar position because let's rewind back to 2023. I was just deep into the red pill rabbit hole, listening to a bunch of different creators that made content in this space and trying to figure out who was legit, who I can trust, and whose advice was actually applicable and would lead to a better dating life for myself. And I came across somebody named Christian Casanova. I am now in a worldwide network with the guy, and before that was created, he taught me in person in Poland back in 2023 how to walk over to girls boldly in the daytime. We call it daytime cold approach, and that skill set has transformed my life overall, and specifically my dating life has exploded because of learning the ability to walk over in this manner. And so it's gotten to the point where I've been on so many dates and had so many experiences that I wanted to create a channel to teach what I've learned and basically to document my life from 2023 when I started the channel up until present day and going forward as well in the future. So, all right, so mindset when starting out. The first thing I wrote down was skill acquisition. So to that guy that's new in the community, recognize that cold approach is a skill just like any other skill. So I'll use a comparison, one that I've often used, basketball. All right, so this we can insert any skill, literally any skill, but I'll just use one that's easy. So basketball. I suck at basketball, And if I wanted to get better at basketball, what I would do is I would find somebody that's really good and I would learn from them and pay them to teach me. And if I didn't want to do that, I would at the very least begin practicing. All right, so let's start with this. It would be absurd for a beginner, let's say somebody who's never picked up a basketball, to expect to be as good as LeBron James within a day, a week, a year, a decade of applying their new skill set and applying what they've learned. So I think this is a very easy concept to grasp, right? So it would be absurd if you've never shot a basketball and you picked one up for the first time and you shot it 50 times. It would be absurd to be upset with yourself if all 50 shots didn't go in. What's far more than likely to happen is that maybe 5 will go in, probably less will go in, because you've never actually practiced what you're doing. And so not only would it be odd to expect that you would be great at it, it would be odd to expect that you aren't bad at it when starting out. Does that make sense? It would almost be like, this guy doesn't know what's going on. This guy doesn't know how to build a skill. That would be odd, right? So here, one moment, we're gonna move inside. The sun's really fucking getting to me. I didn't realize how hot it was. Give me one moment. One moment, lads. Hold on. It's too hot out here. Oh, all right. It's not even that much better in here, but it's a little better. Ooh, it's hot. Damn. I didn't realize Richmond was going to be so hot today, boys. Jesus Christ. Somebody said you play chess. I don't play chess. I'm trash. I'm sure I'm trash at chess. It would be absurd to think that you'd be good at chess the first time you played. All right, give me one sec. Let me prop this up. Hold on. Bear with me, lads. Okay, there we are. So, continuing on. So, what I was saying is, skill acquisition, it would be absurd to think that you would be good at playing basketball if you've never picked up a basketball and tried. So, really what I'm getting at with this example is skill acquisition at a whole. So, cold approach is no different. It would be absurd to think that if you've never walked over to a girl, or if you've only done it 4 times in the last year, and that's what you're basing your experience off of, it would be absurd to think that all of a sudden you would go out tomorrow and you would be excellent at it, and you'd be able to get results like me, go line up a date for yourself within 5 minutes of exiting your vehicle. That would be absurd, right? That would be kind of delusional for somebody to expect that. So I wanted to lay that out very transparently. So to the guy that just joined the community and he's wondering what to expect and how the skill set is going to go when he builds it, expect to be really, really bad. All right? Expect to have no girls interested in you. Expect that you're going to be going up to these girls and they're going to walk straight past you because you have never practiced the mechanics of actually stopping them effectively. Expect that once you get to the point where at least you're able to stop them effectively, the conversation is going to fall flat, because most likely up until this point in your life, you haven't developed any social skills in this space. So in regards to like just meeting somebody, quick banter, getting them interested in just speaking to you, it's likely not going to go super well. All right. So I want to set the stage that is what you should expect. All right, expect to be very bad. Just like if I've never played tennis, I think twice in PE in school, right? So it's like if I picked up a tennis racket and I was playing somebody that's a professional, I would expect to get absolutely destroyed in that match because they've actually practiced what they're doing and I haven't. All right, so very similar. You shouldn't be watching my content and think that all of a sudden you're going to go out after having approached 4 times in the past year and you're going to get results. That's simply delusional, and that's not the case, all right? So, hey, what's going on, Jay? Good to see you, dog. Jay says he's just stopping by to say hi. He's about to go meet a girl. Sweet. Looks like you got a date lined up on this nice Saturday. Hell yeah. Enjoy yourself. All right, enjoy yourself. So, all right, second bullet point. So we talked about skill acquisition, and we'll go a bit deeper into that and what that looks like. The second thing I want to talk about is intangibles. All right, so to the guy that just joined the group, and he doesn't know exactly what to expect quite yet and how this is going to look for him. There's a big portion of this skill set that you can't see. All right, so you can hear it, You can kind of see it if you're looking between the lines, but straying away from mechanics, there's a whole lot of intangibles that play into success with this skill set that are very important, pretty much mandatory. All right, so a few of those would be eye contact. All right, so that's one that, yeah, I guess you can see, right? But eye contact is a very, very big one. So if you're not able to, if you have trouble looking people in the eyes in general when you're communicating with them, all that suggests is that you lack practice in this area of your life, social area, social skills. Yeah, so a lot of people are probably in that position, especially in today's day and age, right? We're in 2025, AI is taking over, oh boy. But in all seriousness, I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm 25 years old and I pretty much grew up with a phone in my hand. I got my first phone when I was, I think, 10 years old. Before that, I had an iPod Touch. Before that, I had a little iPod Nano or whatever you call those. So I've had technology in my hand for the vast majority of my life. And I can absolutely see how that has been a hindrance growing up to me and my social abilities. And I've since corrected that and been able to put the phone down, put the internet down, and go outside and socialize with people. A lot of that has to do with my sales background and the fact that you're not going to get paid unless you figure this shit out, right? You're not going to get paid unless you are able to get in front of somebody or at least speak to somebody on the phone at the very least, all right? So I just want to mention that you might be lacking some of these intangibles right now, and it's not necessarily your fault. Yeah, when I was 12 years old and I discovered Call of Duty, it's like they have literal data scientists that are sitting in a fucking lab and they're sitting in an office and they're trying to figure out how to make the content so engaging that these children don't even want to click off and go outside and socialize and lead a normal childhood. They would rather hijack their brains and keep them glued to a screen because that's how they get paid, right? And so we can talk about morality all day and night, but at the end of the day, they're performing a job so that they can get paid and they can feed their family. So hats off to them. But we could also pan over to the right and see the cascading negative detrimental effects that this has had on society as a whole. And now we're dialing it back into dating, right? So it's like these intangibles. So the ability to make eye contact firmly with a girl, let alone with a stranger that you're just meeting. Some people have trouble doing that. But now we take it a notch higher and we're talking about a girl that you're attracted to. Well, most guys that I just know in general have trouble doing just that, right? Just holding strong eye contact with a girl. That's just one of the many intangibles, all right? So another thing we can talk about is the cadence and the content of your speech in general, right? So if you don't have much social experience, then it's likely that you haven't found, I guess, your rhythm of speaking, so to say. This is always a work in progress, by the way. This isn't me saying I'm a guru, I'm perfect at everything, and I know everything. This is just me saying that this is what I've learned has led to better success with dating versus some other guys that I see, and I very easily pinpoint why they're struggling. All right, so monotone when you're speaking to somebody, when you're in front of the girl and you're trying to create a fun interaction. Well, that's difficult to do if you have poor speaking habits, poor speaking patterns. You use a ton of slang. You don't know how to form and structure sentences in a compelling way, and it's all just kind of, you're just going for it and you're saying whatever. And I get it, right? This is where you're going to start out, but I just want to set the expectations for you. Okay, so that's another intangible, meaning something you can't reach out and grasp, but that's something that's very important in this skill set specifically. All right, another intangible would be just your energy overall. So this is something that's a little harder to identify, but it's easy if you're a positive person. So if you're a positive leaning person overall, then you can just pinpoint out of a crowd negative people based on another intangible we didn't talk about, body language, based on their body language, based on their facial expressions, based on how they speak, based on whether or not they can make eye contact with you. And of course, based on what they're talking about, you can pinpoint whether or not somebody is just a positive outlook kind of a person when it comes to life, and whether or not they're like a negative victim mindset kind of a person when it comes to life. And a lot of people that I meet are very victim. Oh, damn. One sec, we got the fire truck rolling in. Dude, I hope this doesn't mess up the live stream. It's like, yeah, save the fire later, all right? We're spitting facts on the live stream. Come on now. What was I saying? Anyways, we're talking about intangibles, all right? So So you're just starting out with the skill set. You've only done 4 approaches up until this point in the past year. Okay, well, it's likely that one of the reasons why you haven't done any approaches is because you're lacking a few of these intangibles. Maybe you're aware of it, maybe you're not aware of it. I mean, to be fair, the first step would just be awareness, understanding, recognizing that you're lacking in some of these areas, and then the next step would be moving forward and correcting these. Yeah, but most guys, or I won't even say most guys, but a lot of guys in this space, they come into it with this victim mentality of like, oh my God, this is my last chance. The dating apps aren't working. I've tried going out in nightclubs. Girls ignore me. Oh, my friends are getting girls, but I can't. And so they come into this space kind of like, well, I hope this works, because if it doesn't, then there's no hope for me and I'm going to have a lonely life and girls are never going to like me. You need to eradicate that way of thinking entirely. All right. So going back to skill acquisition, if you have not practiced these intangibles, by the way, this is all stuff like an absolute nerd. This is stuff that I have intentionally worked on in my life. So it wasn't always cold approach, but prior to cold approach, it was sales. I was in a pyramid scheme. I didn't know it was a pyramid scheme at the time, but back when I was 18, 19, and then early on when I was 20 years old, I was entrenched in this whole pyramid MLM scheme. And I'm not going to get into the content of that. But what I pulled from that, what I learned from that was I needed to go out and attract people into that business. And so in order to do that, I needed to get in front of strangers that were twice, 3 times my age, that were making way more money than me, that had way more life experience than me. And I had to learn how to initiate conversation with them. I had to learn how to keep them engaged in a conversation, and then how to structure my language in a way to where they were interested in what I had to say, what I had to offer or potentially offer, the doors that I could potentially open. So that is like one-to-one directly translatable to walking over to a girl and being able to engage her in conversation, being able to lead the conversation in a certain direction where you're flirting and you're not just platonic friends during the conversation. Yeah, the eye contact that's required to disarm her and not make her think that you're a serial killer or a creep who's like, oh, this guy can't even look me in the eye. I definitely don't want to talk to this guy anymore. All right. These are all things that I had to actually like intentionally work on. And so that's why I can tell you that you might be struggling in these areas. But like we discussed at the beginning of the live stream, skill acquisition. So let's say I don't know, I'm just throwing out numbers here, but let's say I've had like 30,000 conversations with strangers up until this point in my life. Let's just say that. That's not just cold approach, but that's just speaking to somebody that I don't know in public, in a public setting where other people can hear me. Let's say I've done that 30,000 times, but this new guy who's just come into the community has only done it like 300 times. So it would be absurd to think that somebody who's only done it a tenth of the time, or what is that? One hundredth of the time. So I guess 1% of the time that I've done it, it would be absurd for that guy to think that he's going to get similar results to what I can get, having done it 100 times more than he has, right? Skill acquisition. It would be absurd for you to think that you can shoot a basketball 1% of the time that LeBron James or Steph Curry has done it, and you can achieve similar results to them, because, you know, even though they've done it 100 times more than you, right? Skill acquisition, that wouldn't even make any sense. Okay. So yeah, that's all I wanted to say on intangible. So we'll move on. But yeah, just to wrap that point up, is to the new guy who's in the community who doesn't have much social experience, it sounds like, there's going to be some areas that you can't see because you're yourself, and you would need to be like incredibly self-aware to be able to understand what's going wrong in these moments. So, you know, hats off to you if you can, but it's likely that you are going to run into roadblocks during your approach that you can't even understand, and you might chalk it up to, welp, I'm just not good enough, or welp, these girls just don't like me, I'm just not fuckable enough, as Christian would say. Welp, I just don't have what it takes, I'm not tall enough, right? And so there's these like there are these default excuses that guys will use, and they'll lean on to say, well, the reason I can't get results with this skill set is because blank. And oftentimes it's stuff that they're repeating off of the internet that they watched on a fucking TikTok or a YouTube reel, where the girl was saying, oh, the guy has to be 6 foot, he has to make 6 figures, oh my God, he has to be so jacked. And it was some drunk girl who was out on the town, and it was some YouTube creator who was clip farming, and so he just grabbed that clip, posted it on the internet, and you took it as fact and you believed it. And now you're like, oh, well, that one girl in that one nightclub environment said that I need to be this height, this weight, this money, so that means that I can't do it. You need to be able to peel all that back, right? You need to be able to see through the mist that's being put in front of your eyes. A lot of this has to do with the internet and the stuff that you're consuming, okay? So my advice to you would be reject all of that. Reject all of the excuses that you've laid in front of yourself, all of these self-limiting beliefs of, oh, I'm not tall enough, I'm not strong enough, I don't make enough money. I can use myself as an example to debunk a lot of this for you. I'm 5'9", very average height. I'm 140. I'm below average weight for my height, and I'm not the most muscular guy. I've got very lean muscle mass. I don't make a lot of money, especially now. I just quit my remote tech sales job, so my only income is coming from Amazon deliveries. I'm a fucking delivery boy. At this point in my life, I'm a delivery boy. But I can get crazy results as far as dates and experiences based on the skills that I've built in this area of my life that do not relate to how tall I am, that do not relate to how muscular I am, that do not relate to how much money I do or do not make. Yeah. So my advice to you would be reject all of these excuses that the internet is trying to place upon you. People want to hold you down. People want to pull you down with them. So if somebody has a atrocious dating life and they're not satisfied with how their dating life is going, they're not going to want to see you excel, especially if you're a close friend and you come from a similar environment and let's say you have similar physical attributes. They don't want to see you excel because that means that they have to look themselves in the mirror and go, oh, I guess it wasn't my height. Oh, I guess it wasn't my income. Oh, I guess it wasn't how muscular I am or am not. Yeah. So reject that and instead focus on what you can control and what you can improve. So I can't improve my height unless I want to fly to Turkey and get my knees broken and then get the little extension rods put in, and I'm not interested in doing that, right? I'd rather just accept myself for who I am and control what I can control, and I am living, breathing proof that if you do that and only that, plus get over your fear and build some courage and walk over to the girl enough times, that you can have a rock star dating life, the same dating life that these guys are after that are telling you that you need to have all of this other shit that you don't actually need to have, okay? So that's intangibles, all right? So the next bullet point I put is remove expectations. This one is so huge. This one is absolutely gigantic for the guys that are just starting out. All right, so oftentimes I get comments or I get questions and DMs from guys and they're asking me, okay, I'm just getting started with this skill set. What should I expect? And they'll ask this in a plethora of ways. So they'll go, how many girls should I expect to have to walk over to get my first date, to get my first experience, to get my first happy ending? Okay, for how many girls should I expect to reject me if I walk over to 10, let's say? And they'll ask me all of these questions about percentages, about pie graphs and fucking linear pie charts and all of this shit, exponential curves, and they'll go, well, Ephraim, if I walk over to 20 girls, how many girls should I expect to go on a date with me? My advice to you is throw all of those questions out of the window. Those questions aren't real, they don't have real answers, and they genuinely do not matter. They don't matter, okay? Because even if I was able to give you an accurate answer, even if I was to say, oh, you should expect 5 out of 10 girls to give you their phone number and go on a date with you, even if I was to say that, that doesn't change the fact that you still need to walk over to these women, present yourself in a confident, bold, audacious way, and lead the conversation in a way that she's actually compelled to want to see you again, that she's compelled to want to go on a date with you and learn more about you. So percentages and whatever these questions that these guys pose, whatever the content of these questions are, they don't negate the fact that you need to still get off your ass, pick up your balls, walk over to the girl even when you're scared, specifically when you're scared, because the fear is not going to subside while you're waiting for it to subside, while you're hoping and you're thinking your way out of the fear. It's impossible. Yeah, you can't, unfortunately, you can't hack your genuine physical bodily reactions and chemical reactions that are going to be happening in your body and all the adrenaline you're going to fear, right? What's the hormone, the epinephrine or whatever, the cortisol, the stress hormone. You're not going to be able to think your way out of feeling those feelings. The only way you can get out of that is if you take a Xanax or something. And I would not recommend doing that. That's something I've never done in my life. Yeah. You don't want to run away or try to mitigate these feelings. Instead, what you want to do is embrace the feelings and learn to take action anyways. And that's exactly what I've done, by the way. All right. So just so you know, I'm not a guy who doesn't feel these feelings. I'm not a guy who is immune and I'm somehow a superhero who doesn't feel the stress, who doesn't feel the anxiety and the fear when I see the hot girl. No, instead, what I've done is I've embraced those feelings. You can go back and I have evidence. The best part is I have real life evidence, recent evidence of all of what I'm talking about. Yeah, I've got the Warsaw Diary that I posted, and you can go back and you can see the very first day that I ever went in for my first ever approach, and you can see in real time what I'm talking about. Yeah, I pulled up the camera and I started talking to it. I said, "Oh, today's day one. I'm about to go and meet Christian at the statue, and I'm gonna go in for my first ever approach. I'm so nervous. I'm sweating. I'm about to shit my pants. I'm so scared. Oh my God, I don't know how this is gonna go. I hope it goes well." And you could see that I'm no different than every other fucking guy on the planet. I'm no different. We feel the same fears and feelings. Okay, so you're not gonna logic or question your way out of these natural bodily feelings and chemical reactions that will be happening in your body. So all this to say, remove expectations and remove all of these questions about percentages and pie graphs and ratios and oh my God. Instead of doing that, you need to just focus on acquiring the skill. Going back to what we spoke about earlier in the live stream, you need to be aware that this is a skill just like everything else. And in order to build the skill, you just need to rep the skill out. You just need to rep it out. Okay. You're not going to be able to avoid the work. Unfortunately, you can't. It's not like, oh, watch 10 of Ephraim's live streams and that converts to like 10% easier of an approach journey. Nope, that's not how this works. My live streams serve as motivation. They serve as education. They can, these live streams, this is what I'm telling you you can expect, all right? If there's anything you can expect to fall flat on your face. You can expect the first however many girls to walk straight past you. You can expect the first however many girls to not stop for you, to not be interested in you. You could expect to have moments where she's walking away from you and you're stood there in the town center and you're looking around and everybody's like, you think everybody's looking at you and you're worried that everybody's thinking about you and you're going to be thinking, am I a piece of shit? Am I a creep? Do these girls just not like me? Am I just not good enough? Do I just not have what it takes? Expect to feel that. Expect to feel that. Don't expect to find some sort of an antidote to cure that. Don't expect to find a way out of that. Expect to feel exactly that. That is what I felt when I was building the skill set. That's what I went through. That's what Christian went through. That's what Joseph, Baltus, and every fucking guy in the entourage, we went through the exact same experience. We didn't try to run around the experience. We didn't try to avoid the experience. We decided to go straight through it. Does that make sense? So, yeah. Remove expectations. You shouldn't expect, oh, what up, Wing Bro? Let's go. Yeah, we got Wing Bro in the chat. Ish is in the chat. Good to see you, dog. Expect to fail and fall flat on your face. Yeah, expect that it's not going to go as well as you hope, right? If anything, you should expect worst case scenario. Expect that the first 500 girls are going to walk past you. Expect that the first 500 girls are going to not look at you. And instead, just focus on what you can control. Focus on improving each and every approach. Yeah. So focus on getting in front of the girl effectively, and you're not going to do that correctly the first handful, 10, 20, 30, dozens of times. But you can improve on that as you go, and you can see yourself. Ideally, you'll have somebody filming you, or at least you'll be able to record your own audio through some AirPods or something, and you can listen back and you can literally hear what's going wrong. That's when you can use my content to audit what's going wrong. Right? That's when you can come back to my infields and you can go, all right, here's what Ephraim does, and then here's what I do. Ephraim got the result. I didn't get the result. What's different? And that's when you can start to audit. But before you have any actual data, then you can't think your way through this. You simply can't. You need to go and create the data first. Creating the data means walking over to the girl time and time again, over and over and over again, until you improve, right? You improve incrementally as you go, okay? So the next thing I want to talk about here is the volume that is required to build a skill. Okay, so we just briefly touched on that just now, but there is an absurd amount of volume, and I don't think guys understand quite how much volume is required to really get effective at this skill set in particular. So just like any other skill, you're learning how to play a piano, let's say. You can't take 2-3 lessons and expect to be a fucking orchestra level, grand piano player who's putting on performances at auditoriums and stuff. That would not make sense. The people that are on musicals on Broadway and shit, and they're playing their pianos and doing or they're rocking out to shows, they've done this for years. They've sat down at the piano and practiced and failed and practiced and failed hundreds of thousands of times to perfect the song, to get the notes correct. All right, so there's an absurd amount of volume that's required to build this skill set in particular. Any skill set really, but this skill set certainly. So you can't expect to just walk over to 10 girls in a week and then go, okay, I've put enough reps in, now I can go watch more of Ephraim's content and I can get the rest of the knowledge and then I'll be a rock star after that. No. I'm talking about thousands and thousands and thousands of approaches when I'm giving you my experiences. When I'm giving you my date breakdowns, and you can see the months and months of date breakdown footage that I've got for you and all the infields that I've got, and you're seeing present day what I can do today. You're seeing an accumulation of thousands and thousands of approaches that I've done up until this point. Okay, so this isn't I went out, I did 200 approaches in 2 months, and now all of a sudden I'm making content. The only reason why I'm able to effectively and consistently get results is because I have repped this skill out, and I have said the same fucking lines to different girls, and I walk over and I go, excuse me, 2 seconds, you look fucking incredible, what are you up to? I've said that string of sentences thousands of times, and I've gotten thousands of different reactions. Yeah, some girls light up as soon as I tell them they're gorgeous. Some girls walk past me like I didn't say anything. Some girls, they say, sorry, I'm on the phone, and they keep walking. Some girls say, sorry, I'm in a rush, I gotta get to work. Some girls say, sorry, I'm married, and they flash their ring. Thousands, all right, of different reactions, thousands of approaches. So remember, this live stream is dedicated to the new guy in the community. I'm talking to you, all right? You need to put in an absurd amount of volume if you expect to get good at this skill. All right, so this isn't like, oh, I'm going to focus on this area of my life for a month and then all of a sudden I'm just going to be a fucking wizard. All right, and I'm also not saying that you need to pick up a camera and start creating content. Absolutely not. That's just what I do. Yeah, that's just what I chose to do. But you certainly are going to need to put in an equivalent number of reps if you want an equivalent dating life. Does that make sense? And of course, it's going to be different for everybody. Christian's got some guys that he works with in the entourage, and their first ever approach was rock solid and they got a date out of it. But a lot of the context that we're missing is that guy was already rock solid in every other area of his life. That guy already had very solid social skills, and the only thing he was missing was the courage to walk over to the girl. And so you pair somebody who's already worked on all of the intangibles and is already solid in every other area of their life, and all they're missing is the actual mechanics of the approach. Well, that person is going to find success much faster because they've already got all of that stuff ironed out. Versus a guy who, let's say doesn't have much social experience at all, hasn't put much work into themselves, but they've done a little. That guy trying to start this skill set is going to have a more difficult time. But rather than comparing yourself to other people, just compare yourself to yesterday's version of you. As long as you're improving, that's all that matters. Slow progress is better than no progress. All right, but what I want to highlight here on this bullet point, the volume, is that there is no escaping the actual act of walking over to the girl. You simply can't bypass that. That's something that you just have to do if you want to get better at this. There's not enough content on my channel that you can binge that's going to release yourself from that necessity, that requirement. You can't binge watch your way out. You can't binge watch your way into a solid dating life. All right, at least not the way that I did it. Okay, maybe these red pill guys have you sold on the fact that if you just buy their course on style, right? Oh, if you just buy their course telling you about their nightly routine with their face care, all of a sudden the girls are going to sprint towards you. Hey, I'm not one to tell them whether or not that their stuff actually works. I'm just telling you what I did that works, okay? And if you want a similar dating life to me, then this is what I did to achieve it, okay? Volume, absurd amount of volume, to where you're almost like, what the fuck is going on? I've approached so many girls I can't even count up until this point. You need to get there before you can even consider whether or not something's working, all right? Volume, okay? Moving on. So the next thing that I wrote down is let's define what is a success. Okay. So a lot of guys they think in a very binary way where they go, well, I walked over to the girl, she didn't stop, that's a fail, or she stopped, that's a success. A lot of guys, they go, well, she gave me her number, that's a success, or she didn't give me her number, that's a fail. A lot of guys go, well, she agreed to a date, but she flaked, that's a fail. Or she actually did come out on a date, that's a success. A lot of guys go, well, she came back with me, that's a success. Or nope, she didn't come back with me after the date, so that's a fail. I'm going to try to refocus and reframe this for you, okay? So in regards to this skill set, what I view as a success is whether or not you walk over to the girl and you do it at 100%. So what I mean by 100% is you're not going over there half-ass. You're not going over there meekly and shyly. You're not going over there half-hearted, yeah? Half-hearted, barely getting over, barely going over, barely attempting, barely trying to get in front of her. And then, because you did it at 40% capacity, she's kind of confused when you're stopping her and she's like, is this guy a Jehovah's Witness? Is this guy trying to collect donations? Is this guy trying to sell me a product? And then she keeps walking, and then you turn around and you go, well, I tried. That doesn't count as a rep to me. Yeah. I mean, maybe to the beginner who's going in for the first time, that will count that as a rep. But if I did that, that's not even a fucking rep. That's just, I would look at myself and go, what was that? Let me go in for another one and do it actually, 100% so that I can count that. So what is a success to me? A success is when a guy walks over full conviction and does his best to get in front of the girl and drops off a compliment. That, in my mind, is a success, regardless of how the conversation goes, regardless of if she keeps walking and doesn't stop for you, regardless of what she tells you. Oh, I have a boyfriend. Oh, I'm taken. Oh, I'm not interested. Oh, I'm in a rush. Oh, I'm busy right now. Oh, I'm not interested in dating. Regardless of the reaction, if you walk over full conviction and you put your full self into the stop and you try your best, regardless of who's watching you, that in my mind is a success. That is now a data point that we can use and we can audit and we can do 10, 20, 30 more approaches and we can collect this data. And that's when we can go, all right, I'm starting to see a pattern. The last 12 girls that you walked over to, they didn't stop. And I think this is why. I think it's because of how you're stopping them. I think it's because you're saying, excuse me, far too early. I think it's because you're giving the compliment as she's still walking and she hasn't fully stopped. I think it's because you're not making eye contact and you're kind of looking at the ground when you're first talking to her. And then we can start to audit. Yeah. But I don't view a failure as, oh, the girl rejected me, I failed. Oh my God, the girl didn't give me your phone number, so I failed. No. The fact that you walked over and you attempted is a success. All right. So I'm talking to the new guy who just joined the group. That's a success. So you said you did 4 approaches in the past year. Regardless of how those 4 approaches turned out, that's 4 wins. I would put 4 wins in the win category for you. All right, because you walked over and you did your best and you tried. Yeah, you tried. You faced your fear 4 separate times and you were scared when you did it. I know for a fact that you were scared because I'm scared. I know for a fact you were scared because I'm the one who gets the results and I'm scared. All right, so we can deduce that you're also feeling the same feelings that I am. Yeah, that you're feeling that same anxiety and the stress hormones and, oh my God, what is she going to think about me? Oh my God, there's so many people around. What are they going to think? Are they going to think I'm a creep? Blah, blah, blah. That's okay because you got over that fear and you walked over anyway. So in my mind, that's a success. All right. So the next bullet point I wrote is rejection does not define you. This one is huge. And I think it's worth we slow down a bit and we talk about this. Okay. Early on, when I was approaching back in Poland and I was with Christian, he helped me correct this with the snap of a finger. But early on when I was doing my first approaches, I was putting so much emphasis on each approach and how it went and the results that if the girl was not interested, I would feel like a failure. All right. I would feel like I wasn't good enough. I would feel like, oh my God, girls don't like me. I must not be tall enough. I must not be strong enough. I must not have enough money. And I've come to learn through thousands of reps and thousands of all of these fun experiences and all these hundreds of dates that I've been on, I've come to learn that rejection simply does not define you. Okay? Action is what defines you. Action will negate whatever rejection that you're going through in the long run. Okay? So how can I say that rejection does not define you? I'm sitting in front of you on this live stream with a whole platform of date breakdowns. And I am a guy who has been rejected what we can consider rejected, meaning the girl was not interested or whatever, thousands of times. I tell you, I've done thousands of approaches and I've got rejected thousands of times. Yet, if you browse through my content, all you will find are date breakdowns and infields of girls stopping and talking to me and plenty of rejection reels and all of that as well. But all you'll find are what guys would consider success. Oh my God, Ephraim slept with her. Oh, it's success. Wow, he's successful now. Oh my God. Yeah, that's what you'll find on my channel. Yet I'm telling you that I've been rejected thousands of times. So what I'm getting at is the rejections that I've experienced simply do not define me. They certainly don't, what is the word? I guess negate. They don't negate the hundreds of dates and the fun experiences that I've been able to experience over the past few years that I've been learning the skill set and improving, right? So if I go out and let's say I approach 10 girls today and all 10 are not interested in me, that does not take away any of the dates that I've been on. That does not take away any of the fun experiences that I've had. That does not negate any of the date breakdowns on my channel that you can watch and you can see, right? So that means that rejection is something that you just have to shrug off and go, this is par for the course. The same way Steph Curry shoots a three, if he misses the three, he's not thinking, I'm a piece of shit, I should quit basketball, I guess I'm not the greatest shooter in the world, oh, I guess I'm not the best shooter in NBA history anymore because I missed. No, he just understands that not every ball is going to go in the hoop. That's life. That's life. That's simply life, right? So in the very same way, I have just accepted and recognized that not every girl is going to be interested in me, and that is just life. That doesn't change who I am. That doesn't change the work I've put into myself. That doesn't change the platform that I'm building on YouTube. That doesn't change my plans for my life. That doesn't change the reps that I put in the gym or in the social arena. That doesn't change any of that. All that means is that that particular girl didn't like me in that particular moment, and that is okay. That's okay. Not every girl is going to. It doesn't define you, right? It doesn't mean you're a piece of shit. It doesn't mean you should quit. It doesn't mean you're not good enough. It doesn't mean anything, all right? All it means is that girl is not interested. Okay, not every girl is going to be. And I'm telling you to expect that. As somebody who has a dating life that a lot of guys are trying to achieve, I'm telling you that I get rejected plenty more than those guys. And that's because I simply put forth more action and effort than those guys. So it makes sense why I'm going to have a sick dating life, because I recognize that not every girl's going to like me. I am just out to identify the girls that do. And when I find the girls that do, I know what to do. Yeah? So rejection does not define you, okay? Next thing I wrote is action will overtake knowledge. All right? So a big hang up for a lot of guys, even in my own community, even in my own YouTube channel comment section. A lot of guys think that if they watch every one of my live streams, every one of my videos, that's going to one-to-one translate to my exact dating life. They think that if they pump their head with enough knowledge and enough statistics and enough, all of a sudden they'll be able to walk over to the girl very effectively, even though they barely ever do it. And that's not the case. So the guys that find success with this skill oftentimes are the guys that don't even engage that much in the community and in the content. Rather, they just go out and they put forth a whole bunch of action. Now, to be fair, the most rock star guys, in my opinion, are the guys that put forth a ton of action and they engage with the community because they're getting all of the knowledge that they can possibly get, and then they're applying it, and then they're reporting back and they're talking about it and they're saying, this is my experience, this is what happened, this is what she said, this is what I said, and this is how it went, this was the results, right? And then we can audit from there. But you would much rather be a guy that puts forth a ton of, maybe watches 4 of my live streams ever, a couple of my videos, and then never watches any again and just goes and applies what I told them, applies what we were discussing. You would be far better off being that guy than you would being a guy that just simply watches every one of my live streams and every one of my videos, but barely ever actually does what I'm talking about, barely ever walks outside, goes up to the girl and attempts. All right. So action will overtake knowledge 100% of the time in regards to this skill set. You don't want to become the guy that just is a ghost subscriber who all he does is watch my videos, comment on my live streams, but never actually goes over and approaches the girl. Don't become that guy. Rather, become the guy that sees the content, says, okay, I'm going to learn what I can, I'm going to pull what I can, and I'm going to go and apply voraciously. I don't know if that's the word, voraciously, I don't know. Going to go and apply this like a fucking madman to the point where it doesn't even make sense you're approaching so much, all right? Action will overtake knowledge. Okay, and now we're winding up the live stream, so I have a couple more bullet points that we'll talk about. I got to go and do my shift in a moment, anyways. But next thing that we're going to talk about, I've hit this on plenty of live streams, but I think it's always worth reiterating, is life is too short. All right. So what I wrote is life is too short. You don't matter. The world doesn't care about you. Okay. Now I recognize that that might sound a bit depressing at first when you hear it, but the more you think about it, the more liberating those sentences become. All right. Life is short. You don't matter. Nobody cares about you. All right. So what I'm getting at here is, for me, for the first 23 years of my life, I was too scared to do anything like this. Firstly, because I didn't even know guys did this, and I thought that this would get me thrown in jail. I thought that approaching a girl in the daytime would get me pepper sprayed, and I thought a bunch of cops would come over and arrest me. So that was the first hang up, all right? But after I recognized that that wasn't going to happen, then the next immediate hang up was that people were going to judge me. People were going to judge me. The girls weren't going to like me. And my friends were going to think I'm weird because instead of being a cool, normal guy who just goes and hits on girls at a bar every time, every Friday night, instead of doing that, I'm doing something so audacious and so socially abnormal. And so that was a big fear of mine. And what was able to put that fear at rest was the fact that I recognize life is short. I only have a very finite amount of time on this earth. In the grand scheme of things, right, if the scientists are at all correct, and the earth has been around for billions of years or millions of years or whatever, and it's going to continue to be around for another billion years, and until the sun burns out or until an asteroid kills us all or whatever, or fucking COVID or AI takes over or whatever. If any of that is true, then my 80 to 90 year lifespan, or hopefully it goes that long, maybe I'll die when I'm 65, who knows, but my short lifespan is barely a fucking hairline fracture in the grand scheme of things in the Earth's history. So life is short. You don't matter in the grand scheme of things, because whatever I'm able to accomplish in this lifetime is going to be forgotten probably 15 to 30 years after I die, right? Unless I'm Einstein, who discovers the theory of relativity or whatever it is, that continues to be taught in textbooks, and I become some legend. Unless that happens, then I'm going to be forgotten within 30 years, maybe even less than that, maybe 5 years, 10 years, right? If I do something extraordinary, maybe the world remembers me for 200 years after I die, but eventually nobody's going to remember me, nobody's going to care about me, right? A very good example is, if you remember recently, I think of half a year ago or a year ago, whatever, the Queen of England passed, and she was big news for like a weekend, and then like come Tuesday, nobody was talking about her. And that's the fucking queen right there, right? Nobody cares. Nobody's talking about her. Whatever. She was the queen before. Now she's not. Moving on. Life goes on. Now I'm worried about what I'm going to have for dinner tonight, right? You don't matter. It's liberating, right? I'm not telling that to you as like, you don't matter, go jump off a bridge. I'm saying you don't matter, therefore, what you do in this lifetime should be what you want to do in this lifetime. It shouldn't be what other people tell you should want. It shouldn't be what you think you should be doing. It shouldn't be what your parents suggest you should do. It should be what you want to do. And so in the context of dating, if you want a rock star dating life and you've tried all of these other methods up until this point and they've led you to my channel where you're trying to find a new avenue to go down, then that's very telling, right? That tells you that what you've been doing up until this point is not yielding you the dating life that you want. And so maybe it's time to make some changes, all right? Maybe it's time to go after something that is socially abnormal, that you think is going to get you judged, that you think people are going to think about you and go, oh, Ephraim, he just approaches girls now. Oh my God, what a lame, what a weirdo, what a creep. Life is short. Who cares what these people think about you? And the best part is nobody cares about you anyways. The world just doesn't care about you. So you're right? We think that we are the center of the world because we are ourself. We are our conscious being. Our brain is in our body, and we can't experience anything aside from what our body and our mind is going to experience. So we think that everything is happening to us and we're the center of everything, and every interaction that happens, everybody's stopping what they're doing to watch Ephraim. Ephraim goes out and approaches the girl, and everybody in San Francisco stops what they're doing. Everybody turns their head at the same time and watches and goes, ha ha ha, loser, that girl didn't like you, Ephraim, ha ha ha, you're a loser, wow, you suck, you should just go back to dating apps, dude, you suck. Nobody cares about you. That's so unrealistic. Yeah, I've done thousands of approaches, and not once has anybody ever been bold enough to walk over to me during an approach. I've done thousands of approaches, and not one time has a guy ever stepped out of the shadows and laughed at me for getting rejected. Nobody gives a fuck about me, man. And that's so liberating. That means I could do what I want when I want, and nobody's gonna care. Yeah, I can go over to the girl and go after what I want and shoot my shot, and nobody's gonna care, and I'm gonna be able to walk away from that alive and unscathed, and nobody's gonna pepper spray me, and nobody's gonna arrest me, unless you're living in the Middle East and the Taliban gets to you. I don't fucking know. Most likely nothing's going to happen to you if in most parts of the world, all right? Life is short. You don't matter. The world doesn't care about you. So go after what you want. Stop worrying about what everybody thinks. Stop worrying about, oh my God, I feel like a creep. Stop worrying about, oh my God, I think that couple over there is going to judge me and they're going to talk about me for the next 30 minutes. Who cares? Even if they did, which they're not, but even if they did, who cares? That's not going to change you. It's not going to change your life trajectory. And that's certainly not going to change the fact that 10 to 90 years after you pass, nobody's going to even remember that you ever existed anyways. Especially not the couple that's sitting there that you think is judging you. They're worried about their fucking kids that they're getting through college. They're worried about the fact that their salad has too many cherry tomatoes in it. And they're mad about the waiter. Oh, I told you I'd light on the tomatoes. They don't care about you. They don't care that you're walking over to girls and trying to line up a date for yourself. They don't care. All right? So yeah, the last bullet point I put as we wrap up this live stream, I'll get to the comments after this, is slow progress is better than no progress. All right. So, you know, this guy that's new to the community, he says in the past year, he's gone in for 4 approaches. And while that is an atrocious number, that is barely a warm up for 1 day of approaching. I tip my hat to that guy, because that's more than most guys will ever do in their lifetime. Genuinely. That's 4 times more than most guys will ever do in their entire lifetime in regards to daytime cold approach. And he did that in a year. So it's like, there you go. 4 approaches, as small of a number, as insignificant as a number as that is, at least you went in for that, right? And so it's like, slow progress is better than no progress, baby. Go in, if anything, go in slowly. If you're not going to, if you're too scared to attack it like I did, then at least consistently go in little by little and improve little by little. But obviously, if you want to get the most out of this skill set, you want to do a fuck ton of approaches in the most condensed period of time possible. When I was out in Poland, I was doing 20 to 40 approaches a day, 30 days straight. So let's do the math. Let's be conservative and say it was 20 approaches, 30 days. What's that? 600 approaches in a month. All right. And you did 4 in a year, and I did 600 in a month. Right. So it's like, now you're starting to see the volume that is required to build the skill set as fast as I did. You need to be a savage. And that's being conservative. That's assuming I only did 20 a day. It's very likely that I did 30 to 40 a day, right? And then that's just during the immersion, right? Now, every month past since that immersion, I've also done so many fucking approaches that were in the multi-thousands at this point. We might be approaching 5 figures. I don't think we're that far, but I mean, we might be approaching 5 figures at this point. You see what I'm saying? So it's like, slow progress is better than no progress, all right? So just go in for it, and then obviously I'll leave off by saying that if you want help with that, if you don't want to kind of do this on your own and have nobody by your side, then I will be putting together a paid school community very soon where you can get more tailored individual feedback on your approaches, and we'll be able to go through your audio infields together. And we'll be able to have weekly coaching calls where we can do role playing and stuff, and we can just, you'll get, I guess what I'm saying is you get direct access to me, which is big, right? Rather than just being able to communicate over a live stream comment section. But, for the rock stars that just want to go 0 to 1 as fast as possible, I'll be putting together a 1-to-1 coaching offer where you and I will fly to a country that we decide on. Yeah, that's obviously very populated and busy and good for approach. And we will hammer this skill set out together. Yeah, so I'll be able to demonstrate what a proper approach looks like in person, and I'll tell you why I do it this way. And then, more importantly, I'll be by your side and I'll be encouraging you to go in for your own approaches, and I'll be critiquing you after each approach. And I'll have the audio that I'm listening into in real time to hear what you're saying and how you're saying it. I'll be able to visually watch you while you stop, and I'll be able to critique that as we go. And we'll get you from 0 to 1 as far as a solid dating life as fast as possible. So you can skip the line instead of trying to do this all on your own. You'll be just like Ephraim, because I didn't do that. Instead, I just paid somebody from day one. I paid somebody to teach me how to do this, and that's why my results exploded as quickly as they did. All right. Yeah, Wing Bro says 3 is a warm up. Yeah, 3 is like a pre warm up. 3 is like, all right, I'm awake now. Okay, who am I going to approach next? Exactly. Okay, so let's go through the comment section. So we got Mo in the chat. What's going on, Mo? He says, love the consistency. Yes, sir. I mean, this is my full time now, so got to be consistent, right? Jay says, what's up? Just stopping by. He's about to go on a date. Hey, hope the date goes well. Update us on how it goes in the next live stream. I'm excited to hear how it goes. What else we got? Ish says, the way you start is not the way you finish. Exactly. This guy just pulled up and now he's playing a bunch of music. That's annoying, but whatever. So we got Ish says, advice for beginner. Oh, that's Wing Bro. What up, Wing Bro? Ish says, when Christian said that you got to be the right somebody for the right somebodies, I felt that deeply. Not every girl is the right match for you. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Not every girl's going to like you, and that's simply how it goes. Control the controllables. So what else do we have? Okay, sweet. Mitchie says, I always get rejected, so I gave up. Yeah, and I mean, I'd be willing to bet that there's a plenty of things that you're simply just doing wrong. It's not about you're not good enough, oh, you're too ugly, oh, you're not this, you're not that. What's much more likely is that your approach is just bad. It's that you're barely getting in front of the girl, you're barely projecting your voice. Maybe the content of the conversation is very boring and there's no back and forth banter. Maybe you just sound unconfident when you're going in and when you're in front of her, and so she can tell that this guy doesn't know what he's doing. There's plenty of options. There's plenty of possibilities. I can't possibly know by you commenting that on a YouTube live stream. So, but I mean, there you go. That's where most guys are at, just where Mitchie is at, right? They say, I always get rejected, so I just gave up. I can't help you, right? It's like, I can't coach you out of that feeling. You've got to be able to see this objectively. This is a skill set that you need to build. This isn't just like, it works for some guys, but it works for not other guys it doesn't work for. It's like if you're on the extreme end of the spectrum, right? If you're literally 5'1" and you're chubby and you're ugly and you have no social skills, okay, fair enough. Just, you know what? If that's you, maybe just give up. But I guarantee you, we could even find a guy that's in that position that's learned this skill set and is rock solid with it. Yeah, so maybe he's not getting the 6'8" Giga Chad reactions and results, but shit, he's probably even able to make something happen with the right attitude and the right work ethic. So. And that's using a very extreme end of the spectrum example, right? Most guys are not anywhere near that. Most guys look more or less like me, around my height, around my weight, around my muscle mass, around my income or higher. There you go. So if I can do it, why can't you? But anyways, I'm not here to console the people that have given up. I am here to inspire the people that are ready to take action. So that's the people that I want to attract into this channel and into the school community. And so anyways, boys, I've got a Amazon shift to go and do. So I will talk to you boys very soon, but I hope you appreciated the live. I hope this was valuable and insightful for you, and I hope this was motivational, okay? As always, go in for your fucking approaches because life is too short not for you, and life is too short not to. And as we just discussed on the live stream, nobody cares about you anyways, so go in for it because nobody's watching.